You know, the arc of this one is, this is our introduction section. This is the scene where I'm going to, number one, introduce the thieving crew. Number two, I'm going to introduce who Vin is, and it's going to end with Vin deciding she wants to be part of the thieving crew. That's an arc. I don't know if that's actually where I split Miss Form 1, but it might very well be. That's an arc. I can achieve that. I can pull that off its own chunk and say what needs to go in here somewhere, what are the bullet points, what things need to be achieved. And I will then write that part by essentially going and saying, okay, you know, I've got, you know, goal here is these two get in a relationship. You know, goal over here is, you know, we want to get to this thing and stuff. I will start grabbing bullet points underneath things, put 3 of them together and say, I'm going to make a chapter that fulfills these 3 goals. And I will sit down and I will write that chapter. I'll try to set it in a place that, that helps with fulfilling one of the goals, that is interesting, a little bit different from some of the other places I've set it. Occasionally go back to the same places again that are familiar, but you know, I'll create a setting, I'll see what character growth I want to have happen. A lot of these things will be character growth moments. I'll see what mysteries need to be revealed, these sorts of things, and I'll put them together, and I will write a chapter. And I'll do that, and I'll keep a running list of the goals that need to happen. So the next few chapters will have a set of goals underneath them, and I'll occasionally be moving ones to other chapters, and kind of, as I go, building myself a little slightly more detailed outline of things in order. And that's how I write my books. There are some things to know about this from the analysis side. Things that I am doing in my head that I'm not necessarily doing specifically consciously. Though I can analyze it, sometimes I do them consciously. One way is to look at the different types of plots and the different types of promises they make and how you fulfill them. For instance, you know, there are so many different ways of talking about this. Everyone's going to talk, but these are just some ways. You can have a plot that is a mystery. All right? I define a mystery plot as the characters need a certain piece of knowledge that they don't have. That's a mystery, and in that case, you make promises to the reader by having them research or look for it or search for it and either discover it unexpectedly or struggle and eventually arrive at this understanding. This knowledge can be esoteric knowledge, it can be who killed Asmodean. Okay, not Asmodean, but you know, we can write a book about that. So, you know, who done it, a mystery. This is essentially, we are going to find the clues, we are going to piece together what happened. So when you're building a mystery plot, with me, my bullet points will be the clues that they need to get, or things that can go wrong, and then trying to find those clues. I'm trying to get that information. We call them clues because, but you know, just getting that information. Mystery plot. You can have a romance or a bromance. A relationship plot. 2 characters come to have feelings for one another. Buddy movie style, 2 cops start out rough and then become friends. You know, Legolas and Gimli by the end of the movie are great friends, where they started off as as hating one another. Or it can be these 2 characters are going to fall in love, that sort of thing. That's a relationship plot. Do they have like a bromance version for women? A girl-mance? I don't know. Anyway, girl-mancer. I use women to create my magic. You want to go there? Boy.
That's a new genre there.
As an aside, I always feel a little bit bad about using the word allomancy. Because mancy really does mean foreseeing the future. And I had resisted in previous books, unpublished ones, ever using that because it's a form of divination. Whenever you add Nancy on, that's really what it technically means. It doesn't mean cool magic, but that's what we pretend it means. So, you know, so anytime you're using the word pyromancy, that's really just trying to tell the future with fire. But we pretend it doesn't mean that. We pretend it means cool fire magic. So, so I apologize for those of you who actually know what that means. That you read allomancy and you're like, trying to tell the future with what? Sand? I think that's what it actually means if you break down, which is kind of funny because I did have a magic system where someone told the future was sand in another book. So your relationship plot, how you break that down? Usually you're going to break it down into ways that they grind each other wrong or places where things go wrong. and moments where the characters come to see something in each other, to understand one another better. And you can work out, what needs to happen with your specific plot, how that's going to work. You've got the big problem plot, which is we've got to plan a lot in order to achieve this goal. It's essentially the heist plot. But I don't call it heist because when we use heist, we're actually meaning something larger than just stealing. It's all the pieces have to go together and we have to plan and then we try to achieve this thing. I mean, it could be we're going to put on the best dance show ever. And in order to put on the best dance show ever, we are going to have to, train and find the ancient wise dance teacher on the top of the mountain, and these sort of things. And so you've got the big problem. Break it down. You've got the basic man versus man plot as well. These two people are, you see what I'm doing here? But the idea is with each of these to kind of look at them and decide what your plots are and what promises you're making. If you have the protagonist and the antagonist stare each other down across a room in the first few chapters, you're making a promise. Those two are going to face off, and they are going to struggle against each other, and your then way of fulfilling that is by having them have several points along the way where they're facing off, where then they come down and you have a showdown. You make these promises and you fulfill them. That does not mean that you have to necessarily fulfill them in an expected way, but it should be, like I said, if you want to do twists, try to keep them surprising yet inevitable. The way you use inevitability, we're slightly moving on to another topic here, but keep those things in mind. The way you use inevitability is by using the grand tool of plotting in every writer's arsenal, which is foreshadowing. Ooh, it's like in Microsoft Word, whatever those graphics are. Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is one of the grandest tools in your arsenal. Foreshadowing is where you are giving the clues and indications to the reader that something is coming, and you're either doing it subtly, so that only after the fact they realize what you're doing, or you're doing it obviously so that they're making promises to them. And those are both valid ways. If you want to do it subtly and have oh, I should have seen that coming, your best tool, therefore, is misdirection. Study stage magicians. See what they do. Stage magicians are wonderful. Even when, the really good ones, even when you know what the trick exactly is and what they're doing, the first few times you watch them, you get a YouTube of it, you can't see it because they're so good. You're like, I know he's going to put the ball in his hand over here, but it's so dang interesting what he's doing over here, I have to watch it. You are doing the same thing as a writer. I sometimes use the phrase smoke and mirrors, but what I don't like about that phrase is that that's to imply that there's nothing substantial over here and you're just distracting the reader. That's not what you're doing. You are giving them substantial things that they're paying attention to while you're slipping in foreshadowing that they don't realize is foreshadowing yet. If you want to be hidden about it like this, you will want to be using red herrings. And I don't know what these things are, what the technical term for all of these things are. You want to sometimes make it seem like the problem is fixed. You want it sometimes to feel like well, really those are the two ways, but the definition. Let me explain a little bit more about these. A red herring problem is fixed is both kind of two sides of the same coin, where you're indicating to the reader that it's okay to stop thinking about that problem because someone's got it in the bag. They can, they get up, they have their explanation, like, we know what this is. We've got it taken care of. And so they're like, oh, okay, they've got it taken care of. And then you start to lay the groundwork that no, they don't, so when it comes out and it goes wrong, you're like, oh, they didn't have it taken care of. That's one way to stop the reader from fixating on it. Slipping your clues in, you want them to come in innocent ways. You want it innocent. For instance, I use a lot of examples from my own books because I know them the best. I'm not holding them up as the best examples of this ever. Just understand that. There are people who do this much better than I do. But I wrote a book called Elantris. Elantris has a very big secret about the world. It has to do with, and I'm giving you spoilers, sorry, but you'll be able to see it coming when you read the book, and maybe that'll help you as writers, if you ever do read and you haven't read it yet, to see what I'm doing and try and pick it apart. How many haven't read Elantris? Okay, yeah.
Do I need to remember?
What's that?
Do I need it?
Depends on how badly you hate spoilers.
I haven't read it.
Okay, I'll try to keep it a little bit vague. There is a feature of the world. Something happened 10 years ago that is part of a big, the magic stopped working in the world. One of the big mysteries of the book is, why did the magic stop working? Well, the way that I hid everything in the book is I reversed cause and effect. Everyone assumes that what happened, that this one little thing that they mentioned, was an effect of the magic going wrong. When in reality it happened just a few minutes before and caused it all. And so because of that, everybody makes this assumption. It's a very natural assumption, and so it's hidden in plain sight because I just reversed cause and effect. Reversing cause and effect is a great way to do this. See what you see? It's right there in front of you, but the characters don't talk about it as a big deal. If the characters highlight something as a big deal, the reader will say, oh, that's a big deal, and we'll start to fixate on it and try and figure it out. Robert Jordan was excellent at this. A lot of his clues and his subtle clues were introduced as, here's all this stuff that's very important, and this other thing that's not very important. He doesn't actually say it that way, but that's how you read it, and it's only 3 books later you say, you sly dog, that thing you said that you just presented with all this important stuff, and then, oh yeah, and this thing. That's the thing that we needed to pay attention to. And that is how you do this. Red herrings are an excellent way. Red herrings are where you decide, okay, I'm going to have this twist ending. If you really want to be mysterious and have twist endings, one of the ways to really make it work is to be smart enough to realize what your readers are going to think are the first 3 reasons. If they're going to pick it out, and they're going to just be naturally reading along, you say, okay, when I write in the book, I'm going to have the characters eliminate this one for very valid reasons. Okay? I'm going to hint to the reader that it's probably this one. So the readers who are reading along, if you think that they're smart, they're going to be like, aha, I know what it is. It's not spelled out, the characters aren't seeing it, but I see it. You're going to very subtly hint that it's this one, so that the Theorylanders will say, I know what it is, it's this one. When really it's this one down here. All right? And you're going to have to think 2 or 3 steps ahead of your reader and know what the expectations of the reader are going to be for the way this is going to be fulfilled. The problem, the way this has to work, though, is that when this one happens, it has to be the coolest. And all of these have to be invalid for very good reasons. That's what makes it tough. All right? Let's look at plotting in a slightly different way that works with this. This is called the Indiana Jones form of plotting. All right? We also call this trifail. Completely different way of looking at plotting. This isn't actually how I do it. This is how a lot of writers do it. It's what I'm doing unconsciously to describe it, but I don't actually approach it this way. It works for a lot of people. The trifail cycle is what you do is you pick a plot, a subplot, something, or even the main plot, and you come up with 2 ways the characters can think they can try and fail at, and then have them succeed. Or, everything go wrong. But 2 ways for them to fail before they succeed. What you do here, though, to make a trifail cycle really work, is these both have to be great ideas. All right? So if you're building a trifail cycle, one of the best ways to do it is to say, okay, we're going to try and achieve this goal. You can have the characters sit down, it's the big plot, the big problem plot, okay? Or even a mystery plot. It's like, we're going to look in these places. Or we're going to try and find the information this way. Or, romance, it's not going to be so explicit, but it's like, the main character, the guy who's trying to get the girl is going to try these ways.